Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. I'm fucking struggling, man. I I was I'm late because I was having issues. I did all my prep last night. I did some stuff like a little bit ago, and I come in here, things are different. So I'm looking at my OBS and everything was a little wonky. So I'm freaking out. And apparently it's because OBS lost the stream key. So I had to log back in, which I haven't done in a while. Luckily, I have things set up for that. But it took me a minute to try to figure out what the hell was going on. I was losing my mind. I don't know if the chat's gonna work because on the screen, because I lost docs in my OBS. I don't know, man. I hate when this shit happens. It's like, it's 2025. Why the fuck do I have to have these problems? It's like the fucking computer. I mean, everything's supposed to be smarter these days, except for me apparently. But I know that I know this shit happens, and I shouldn't be that upset and I shouldn't be that surprised. But I'm telling you right now, I fucking freak out, okay? I don't have control over it. It just happens because shit's supposed to be going well. I haven't had any problems in quite a while, and I'm hoping that these are like the only problems I have for another long while. But I was like, oh man, I was tripping. And so hopefully, if you're out there, everything seems fine. Let me double check. Okay, it looks like everything's okay at the moment, and I hope it holds up. But excuse me for being a bit out of sorts because, yeah, man, I'm just trying to make sure everything's okay. Everything looks and sounds good. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. My wife has got my back. Looks like my chat's not working on the screen, which I'm pissed about because that worked really well last time, and now it's just being stupid. So that's fun. But whatever. At least I get to do the show. Oh, there it is. It's back. Look at that. Okay, so I'm still missing one other one, but I'm gonna leave that alone, which is the highlighted one. But at least you'll see something on the screen. So I think we're okay. One of my docs is not working still, which is whack, but it's okay because I don't need that. My YouTube live control panel doc is not working. It wants me to sign in. I already did that, so fuck off. Yeah, excuse me. I'm sorry. Oh man, and then my lower thirds aren't working either. That went away too. Strange problem, but you know what? It's probably the smallest amount of things that could happen. At least I didn't lose a whole bunch of shit. But this is a good reminder to do backups. I haven't done one in a while, so I need to do one. Anyway, let's get to it because yeah, on top of the freak out, I was already pissed off because, man, what the fuck is going on? Just bullshit. I mean, we had a kind of shit card over the weekend for UFC Baku. Like, there was a couple good fights, but basically it was all fucking decisions. Again, there were some good fights mixed in there, but I honestly think that it was like 2 finishes out of the whole goddamn card. So I mean, that's bullshit, right? And then on top of that, so this was a daytime card, and as soon as it's over, it's like 2:00 in the morning in Baku, Azerbaijan. I'm fucking tired of saying it already because, all right, I need to chill the fuck out. I'm tired of saying the name. It's so long. It's hard to say. I'm glad it's over. It's done. But right after it happens, we get some news coming from Dana White at the press conference. And of course, it's like the dumbest shit ever. You know, this would be like me popping in here and being like, so, I had some problems. I don't know what's really happening. But you know, it is what it is. By the way, Jon Jones retired, and Tom Aspinall is the new UFC Heavyweight Champion of the world. Who's got the first question? Oh, what? Oh, it doesn't look like I care? Oh, it's because I fucking don't. Because I don't give a shit about the UFC anymore, apparently. That's about how Dana White's demeanor was. So, Yeah, I'm on another level right now. I need to chill the fuck out. Like, went from freak out to pissed off to, anyway, listen, we had a couple of finishes in, yeah, 2 finishes in the main card, and then the prelims were all decisions. Everything else was decisions. So I got something on my face, and it's like I feel it, my nose and my chin, and I keep feeling like I have like a hair or something. Driving me crazy. I'm gonna take a sip and I'm gonna chill out and we're gonna get going. I know what else I need. Some Noctane smelling salts. Anyway, I just told you a little bit about what happened. We're gonna jump right into it as soon as I give a shout out to my sponsor, Noctane smelling salts. Always grateful for them and the sponsorship, and sometimes I need this a little more than others. I'm not really half asleep here. I'm wide awake, but I need to be a little more alert. My wife's telling me to chill out too, and I understand, because yes, I need to gather myself. Let's get humbled here real quick. Oh, I deserved that one. I deserved it. Oh, wow. Woo. Noctane smelling salts. Get yourself some, because that is the most potent bottle, and that shit'll get you right. That'll get you real good right away. Rice PRT, howdy, hey, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. I appreciate you jumping in. I'm getting my shit together here because I had some technical difficulties. That's my sponsor. Oh, it's right there. Noctane smelling salts. I just hit the salts, get myself right. And I appreciate Noctane for the sponsorship as usual. So there goes that. And we're going to jump right in because I've already started talking about it, and that's what I'm here to do. And I already had 13 minutes of mess up. So let's go. We're going to get started with, of course, Jon Jones retired. Okay. That's what I just got done talking about. And it was announced in the press conference right after the UFC Baku event. Okay. So, and the reason why I'm mad about this for a few reasons. If you were here in the beginning, I told you I was already pissed off, and there's a good reason for that. And I'm going to tell you why right now. The main reason that I'm pissed off about how all this went down is because, number one, why the fuck was Dana White just so nonchalant about it? Just like didn't give a fuck. It was just one of those things. Somebody had to ask him a question before he even brought it up, and I'm like, he was so casual about it. Exactly. So somebody had to ask him before he even brought it up, which is dumb. Why not lead with that? Why not lead with, hey, you guys have been hounding me for news. You guys have been, bugging the shit out of me, and I finally have something for you. Start it off with that, man. That's fire. Do that. But no, instead we get this lackluster bullshit. Listen, when he announces stuff on Instagram, at least then he's a little bit upbeat. When he goes, "What's up, everybody?" and he starts like that, at least there's some energy there. There was no energy here. So that's why I was like so fucking annoyed by that. And then on top of that, it's like, okay, you're telling us that Jon Jones is retired. Fine. Now he's supposedly the greatest fighter of all time, right? Isn't that what the fuck you said, Dana? Isn't that what you always say? You're glazing fucking Jon Jones at all times. And now what? You're pissed off about it, so you're just gonna give him the send off that you think he deserves all of a sudden? Because that's kind of what it feels like. And I'm just fixing my lights. I'm sorry. Everything's fucking up on me. But that's kind of what it feels like, right? So number one, in the manner of Jon Jones, I feel like him being the GOAT that everybody says, the legendary status that he has, but yet he gets just some bullshit after a fight fucking announcement, when some of the most random fighters that don't deserve it, but some of the most random fighters that weren't even champions get full packages and stuff like that. Yeah, it's Jon's fault for not retiring in the cage like most people do. So what do you expect them to do, right? But why are we getting this in a fucking shit show of an event in the press conference after, where Dana actually finally showed the fuck up in Azerbaijan of all places? What the fuck? So he finally shows up, and this is what he does. He lays it all out in the most nonchalant, casual fucking way, like it doesn't even matter. So I'm pissed off about that because I feel like Jon Jones deserves a little more than that. The fighter Jon Jones deserves a little more than that. Okay, so I will preface it by saying that I can't stand. My lighting situation is driving me nuts right now. But okay, so legendary, greatest of all time, blah blah fucking blah, right? Well, on top of that, then he announces that Tom Aspinall is now the undisputed UFC champion. Just like that. That's it. Just like that. Done. What's your first question? Or what's your next question? How is that fair? Like, how is that fair? And how the fuck does that make any sense? So that's why I was pissed off about that. Now, let's get into Jon Jones actually retiring and what he had to say, his canned answer as to why he's retiring. So he says, today I'm officially announcing my retirement from the UFC. The decision comes after a lot of reflection. I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for the journey I've experienced over the years. From the first time I stepped into the octagon, my goal was to push the boundaries of what was possible in this sport, becoming the youngest champion in history, defending my title against some of the best fighters in the world. Well, not all of them. And sharing unforgettable moments with fans across the globe. These are memories I'll cherish forever. I faced incredible highs and some tough lows, but every challenge has taught me something valuable and made me stronger, both as a fighter and as a person. I want to thank UFC, Dana, Hunter, Lorenzo, God, my family, coaches, teammates, and all the bitches out there. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what he said. But and all the fans who have stood by me through every chapter, including the cops that let me slide on all the shit that I'm doing out in the streets. Your unwavering support and belief in me have been my foundation to my fellow fighters. Thank you for bringing out the best in me, and thank you for understanding when I was too scared to fight you, and for the respect we've shared inside and outside the cage. As I close this chapter of my life, I look forward to the new opportunities which don't involve fighting fighters that I should have fought because I was being a bitch. MMA will always be a part of who I am, and I'm excited to see how I can continue to contribute to the sport without fucking up everyone else's career. And inspire others in new ways to hopefully not be like me in the future. Thank you for all the best, being a part of the incredible journey with me. The best is yet to come. Hopefully not from behind bars. Okay, sorry. Yes, I was just talking shit about how he got a shitty send off and blah, blah, blah. But that's the respectful side of me saying Jon Jones, the fighter, deserved a little more than that. Past that, fuck Jon Jones right now. And I only say that because, listen, those were my feelings from a while ago. Okay, always have been kind of fuck Jon Jones a little bit, and this is just yes, I got a personal vendetta. I got beef, and that's because the only time I was ever able to try to make it to a pay-per-view, he fucked it up, and it's well known, it's well documented. He bitched out on the fight against Chael Sonnen. He didn't want to take it. Even though he says he could beat his ass on a whim, still wouldn't take the fight after Dan Henderson gets injured at UFC 151, I believe it was. And so I was supposed to go to that fight. I had tickets in hand, ready to go, made the trip to Vegas. As a matter of fucking fact, that was mine and my wife's honeymoon. Granted, we love going to Vegas. That was our thing anyway. We both wanted to go, but my wife was awesome and got me tickets to go to a UFC pay-per-view. Probably not cheap, even back then. And fucking it all got shit on by Jon Jones, who wouldn't fight in the main event, so they canceled the entire event for the first time ever. So yeah, I got a little beef. All right, fuck that. I'm a little pissed off about that. Anyway, I learned to get over that, but then we still have all the bullshit that Jon Jones pulls, the continuous legal troubles, the continuous pushing of fights in order to get more money, which is fine. That's fine. I understand completely, and that's cool. But just what he's done here over the past couple years has kind of topped it all off. So that's what sucks. And in the end, he's gonna be remembered for doing this kind of shit all the time. So that's kind of why I'm pissed about that. But I will say thank you to Jon Jones for all the great fights. I know this is so back and forth and so fucking bipolar of me at the moment. But I do have to commend him for his greatness in the sport, even if it was a little patchy and even if it was rough. I do have to give him his props, but it's hard to do that in the midst of the other things that are going on with Jon Jones right now. And are we surprised that that's happening? Not really. Not fucking really. Now, it's only surprising because he has stayed out of the headlines with legal shit for quite a while. At least that we thought, that we knew of. But apparently that doesn't seem to be the case as much as we thought. Because in February, he had an incident, allegedly. Okay, it is yet to be proven, but you know, he's basically catching a charge right now for something, and they're gonna probably have to go to court over this. I don't even know what's gonna happen, but let me switch over to that part of this. So here's what was said. Here's what's being alleged. Here's what news came out directly after, by the way, the boring ass stupid press conference that happened with Dana White, where he announced that Jon Jones was, you know, retired, and now Tom Aspinall's the heavyweight champ of the world. So let me get to this so I can read it. Actually, it says Jon Jones faces a new misdemeanor charge. A criminal summons accusing Jon Jones of a misdemeanor charge of leaving the scene of an accident in February. That's pretty familiar for Jon Jones. If you can't remember, he hit a pregnant woman on the street in a car accident. He fled the scene and then returned to the scene before the cops got there so he could pick up his weed pipe and some other shit, or who God knows what else he had in that car that he came back to pick up. And that's how people recognized him and witnessed the fact that he did this. He wrapped his vehicle around a pole at one point in time, or crashed into one. Maybe not wrapped it, that's a little bit much, but he crashed into a pole at one point in time with hookers in his car. By the way, he's married. While he was on drugs and drinking and all this other shit. So we've had multiple of these things happen. So again, leaving the scene of an accident in February. Police responded to a car crash and found an intoxicated woman, not his wife intoxicated, but an intoxicated woman in the passenger seat of a vehicle. She was partially undressed and showed signs of significant intoxication. The woman told police she drank alcohol and consumed mushrooms at Jones' house. The woman claimed Jon Jones was the driver and that he fled the scene on foot after the accident. Police said Jones called the woman's phone 13 times from the time of the crash until 11:34 a.m. the following morning, and that text messages from his phone were included. So they pulled reports about Jon Jones, which his lawyers now saying that was them targeting him. Now, this woman was apparently super intoxicated and half naked from the waist down, by the way, and too drunk to move in this vehicle after the car crash. But she was coherent enough to say that she was at Jon Jones's house drinking and doing mushrooms, and that he was the driver of the vehicle. So this is crazy, man. Like, usually where there's smoke, there's fire. And that seems to be the case with Jon Jones. He tweeted saying, don't believe everything that's in the media. They tend to lie. And he put like a smiling face or some happy emoji fucking bullshit. So like, this is what I'm talking about with Jon Jones. This is why people don't like him. This is why people don't respect him, even though the greatness that he had in the sport and everything he's done. And then this past year of just, maybe not year, but almost a year of just like pushing things along and making things be shitty for Tom Aspinall while he's been the interim champ and deserved to have the fight a long time ago. In the way of fighting, at least a long time ago. At least the announcement, you know what I mean? So according to Dana White, the fight was announced, or not announced, but the fight was done. They had the fight done, contract signed. Jones was asking for a shitload of money. Apparently it was actually going to be given to him. And we're talking to the tune of 20-30 mil. And apparently Turki Al-Sheikh wanted this fight so bad that he probably made that 30 mil happen. And then Jon Jones turns it down. He decided against it and he wasn't going to fight. Basically, sounds like told the UFC he's just going to retire, or led them to believe that maybe down the road he would do the fight, that he would let him know when, and then decided out of the blue to retire. Which then, obviously, coincidentally, the news comes out about these legal problems that happened back in February, by the way. So we haven't heard about this because according to the guy that reported it, after he looked into things, he found out that the police have been doing a pretty good job at covering it up. And because it's public information, he found the fact that Jon Jones had this pending case or whatever. So just like that, you know, he knows he has shit going on in the background. So does he think that, okay, maybe I'll get some of the heat off me by making sure that I don't have this come out while I am the champ? When on top of all of it, he's catching all this shit, being called a duck. Obviously doesn't seem to give a shit that much, but maybe he's like, let's not add fuel to the fire. Let me go ahead and, you know, call it quits, retire, because everyone retires and comes back anyway. So maybe he's like, I'm gonna retire, I'm gonna get through this shit, I'm gonna, you know, push it under the rug like I always do, get away with something like community service, go tell kids, don't do drugs, kids, don't be like me. and then come back maybe down the road and fight whoever's the champ if he's not too scared. Because to me, it's looking like he's running from Tom Aspinall. When you had everything on the table, everything was ready, you agreed to the bout, and then you just pull out and decide you're gonna fucking retire. To me, the ducking allegations are 100%. 100%.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
That's about all I can say about it. I'm not fucking surprised, because it's Jon Jones. This is the bullshit that he does. And every time you think Jon Jones is on a good path now, this is when he becomes legendary. This is when he adds to his legacy. This is when this is when that. Next thing you know, he's acting a fucking fool in the streets again, like a dumbass. And then, you know, then all we can do is be pissed about it.
Fuck.
That's what goes through my mind. I just say fuck a lot because fuck, we could have had the goddamn fight. Tom Aspinall could have been the legit champ, which he is. He is the legit champ because he deserves that shit, but he could have done it in the way of actually fighting, because that's what he wants. That's what we all wanted. But instead, we have this bullshit. So that's why I was pissed about it, because Tom Aspinall didn't get the great announcement and the shit that he should have gotten for becoming the champ. Instead, he just gets this kind of basically just a footnote in a shitty event. And then on top of that, Jon Jones gets announced that he's retired, and it's like, well, who cares? He didn't do what I wanted him to do, so fuck it. You know, and then Dana says, well, I didn't know anything about the legal stuff, and now everybody's gonna think that's why he retired. That's sure as shit why he's retired. That's why he did it, because he knew he can't keep stringing this shit along when this shit comes out. So, I mean, did he retire for that reason? What do you guys think? I mean, have you been following it? If you haven't, did I make enough sense here to let you know what the hell's going on? And then it seems pretty much like he's ducking Tom for sure, 100% now. He's retiring on purpose to get some heat off of him so he can deal with this legal situation, which is great. Do it, deal with it, get past it. We're just gonna sit here and wait for the next time you fucking get involved in some shit and we hear about it. Because guess what, man? Everyone knows who the fuck you are. And whether you're 5 years removed from the sport or 5 minutes removed from the sport, you do some stupid shit in the streets and you get arrested, or somebody records you doing some dumb shit, you're still gonna have all that heat on you, all that press around you. Is that what you want? I don't know. Maybe you like it. Who knows? But in the end, as of right now, Jon Jones is fucking retired. He ducked Tom Aspinall because he's acting like a bitch. And, you know, he can't stay out of trouble long enough to make the shit happen after stringing somebody along for so long. You know, I was thinking, shit, maybe he's just trying to get the most out of this. Maybe he's just trying to do the most to make it so big and crazy for his last fight. And then he's going to fight Tom Aspinall, regardless of the outcome, retire, because that's what he's been pretty much hinting at. And instead, he just retires out of nowhere in a text message to Dana White and then puts out some stupid, you know, come on, man. Some bullshit. Now, what does Tom Aspinall have? You know, what is he going to do? He could have had the highest profile fight of his life and probably, you know, catch a pretty decent bag in the process and become the legit champ by beating the champ before he makes his way out. And then also spoiling that so-called undefeated record of, you know, Jon Jones. But yet, instead, he gets handed the title, which is fine. That's fine, because he kind of deserves it anyway. But instead, he gets the title handed to him, and he doesn't, you know, people are going to say, well, he's just the paper champ. He's not the real champ. He didn't beat the real champ, blah, blah, blah. The real champ is still kind of Francis Ngannou. He's the one that left the UFC still with the champ status. Jon Jones fought for the vacant title against Cyril Gane, who basically bent over and took it. So then, and then he fights a washed up fucking Stipe, who of course he deserves all the credit in the world for everything he did, but Stipe wasn't Stipe when he fought Jon Jones. As soon as he lost, he told Joe Rogan, thank God, it's over. I'm done. Thank God. He was just wanting to get the fuck out of there. So he did. And Jon Jones gets praise from everybody about how he made the legend of the UFC heavyweight division look bad and blah, blah, blah. But come on, man. So that's why I'm pissed. Because I feel like people got cheated in all directions here. The fans got cheated out of a great fight. They've been strung along, and now it's not going to happen. Tom Aspinall's been cheated out of his rightful title for so long, or at least a chance to get it. You know, and as much as I'm talking shit about Jon Jones, he got cheated out of a great retirement, you know, send-off because of some stupid shit. Maybe it's his own fault, really, but the way it went down just sucked. All of it sucked. All of it's fucking stupid. And that's really all I can say about it, because what else can you say? What's done is done. Now we wait and see what's happening with Jon Jones. What's the truth? You know, him and Conor just can't stay out of their own fucking way. They're just two bumbling idiots tripping over booze and drugs. That's what they're doing. They can't stay out of their own fucking way. Jon Jones has been caught how many times now? Fucking doing stupid shit in the streets, acting like he's untouchable. Maybe it's because he kind of is. He gets away with it all the time. He doesn't catch any consequences. Yeah, he got stripped of the title. He said before he doesn't give a shit. That doesn't matter to him. He got, you know, the police called on him by his daughters, telling them to call the police because they were scared of his dad, or their dad at the moment. How fucking heart-wrenching is that? That would kill me. And yet this motherfucker just continues to do this shit. You know, disrespecting his wife. We all know he hit his wife. You know, no consequences. Still married, still has his kids. I don't know his home life. I don't know his private life, but we know what happens in the public. And we've already seen that him and his wife don't have the greatest of situations. So it's a shitty thing completely overall, and I hope he can get his shit together, but it's just like talking about Conor. He just can't stop. Conor the other day on video punching a random not even fan, a random casual person in a club. Maybe that person was you know, antagonizing him or whatever, but you are a fucking UFC star who, even though you haven't fought in years, you haven't won in even longer than that, and you know, but you're still like one of the faces of the UFC, and you can't get out of your own fucking way. to just do that, come back to fighting, finish up your career, end it on a good note. Instead, you're out in the streets fucking punching people like a dumbass when you know that that's not the way a fighter should handle himself. Yeah, you're getting attacked, defend yourself. Some guy comes up talking shit to you, laugh at him. You're a fucking millionaire, damn near billionaire. You own all these companies. You know, fucking hang out on a goddamn Lamborghini yacht. You know, you got all this shit, man, and then you're over here fucking doing dumb shit in the public eye to be scrutinized and have it posted everywhere. You know, you treat your wife like shit, and your kids are gonna see all this when they get older. Like, fuck, John, your kids are gonna remember. I promise you, your kids are gonna remember that they had to go to the front desk or call for help because you were just doing whatever to your wife in front of them, which is fucked. So like, what the fuck, man? And of course everyone's gonna say CTE, 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 but I don't think that's it, because he was doing this shit before. He was in training. Yeah, he's been fighting for a long time, but he was still doing this dumb shit. And you know, he's the youngest. Maybe he just got too big too fast. The youngest champion in the UFC starts getting sponsorships, you know, starts getting money. Maybe it was too much for him. That's why I like it when they slow roll people. Don't get them out there too fast. Yeah, they need the money. Yeah, some of these guys fucking come from nothing and have nothing. But you know, that was Conor. And then look what happened to Conor. He blew up, and then he fucking blew up. Like, now he's just all over the place doing dumb shit. And you know, it just doesn't end, and it sucks, because these guys have all the talent in the world, and they just can't get out of their own fucking way. And it's garbage. So that's it, man. I mean, I just had to go off on that because of all of the way that this all went down, the things that happened and how they happened, completely the wrong way, including the way Dana White treated it. Maybe he's trying to not have to deal with the bullshit. Maybe he just didn't want to have to answer a bunch of questions. I don't know. But the way he just glossed over it. I'm sorry, he glazes Jon Jones, but he's glossing over the situation like it ain't shit and it doesn't matter. That, you know, that Jon Jones fucking doing what he's doing, and then we hear about the legal shit. Rice PRT saying agreed. Appreciate that. Thank you for listening to the crazy rant and ramblings of myself while I talk about this bullshit. But it has to be spoken about because it's just bullshit the way it all went down, and it sucks. And I keep repeating myself because that's how much it sucks. So that's why my lead topic here was about all of that with Jon Jones. And you know, this is usually my recap show on Mondays. You know, I come in with technical difficulties, so I'm already in some sort of way. But I come in with technical difficulties. Usually I come in hot, ready to go and have everything down, but it's all good. We're fighting through it. Everything's working right now. I still have somebody in chat. Thank you, Rice PRT. Appreciate that. And on top of all of it, we still have the event to talk about, even though that wasn't fun for the most part. So let's get to that and let's recap. I appreciate that, Rice. Let's get a little recap in of Khalil Roundtree versus Jamal Hill. By the way, Jamal Hill, man, I usually do my takeaways here, my quick takeaways from the entire event, including I'll go over the main event, of course, a little more in depth when I get to it, because I usually get through I usually try to get through the whole card, right, and talk a little bit about what happened throughout it. Some of them are quick because not much happened, but I always give my takeaways here. And for this one, what the fuck is Jamal Hill, man? He talks so much shit on everybody. You know, he's so goddamn sensitive that if you even speak sideways about him, he jumps in front of a mic like I am right now. So you know, maybe I sound like a hypocrite, but the thing is you know, I'm reporting. I'm not anything. I'm just a fucking guy. I'm a fan that has a podcast because I know how to fucking do this stuff, even though it may not seem like it today. But I'm just a fan in front of a mic, right? Oh, you expect that from somebody like me. But he's a fighter who gets so upset about everything everybody says, including fans, which I'm sure if he saw me saying this, he'd fucking make a whole video about it, because I'm just some loser fat guy in his fucking in a spare room of his house talking shit on the internet, and I couldn't do shit, blah blah blah. Fine, that's fine, man. That's fine. You get paid the big bucks to look like a little crybaby most of the time. So, and I respected Jamal Hill. I actually appreciated him when he became champ. I felt those raw emotions when he won the belt, because he was so happy, and to see him that way. But then he progressively just got fucking so full of himself. He didn't even defend the title. So, you know, just keep winning to the point where you're undeniable. That's tough though, man. What these guys do is fucking tough. And I'm not saying I could do it easier or better, but from an outside perspective as a fan, why do you do these things? Okay, yes, clap back at somebody. Do it in a way that makes more sense, that makes a fight seem legit, that makes it seem like, hey, this would be fun to watch because he's pissed about what he said and blah 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 blah. Maybe people still do that right now, but the way that he comes at people, the way that he addresses these issues, it's one of those things where you're just like, bro, you sound like a little crybaby right now. So, and the biggest problem is that he can't seem to win again, and there's always a problem. If there's not an injury, there's, oh, the ref, you know, with the fight against Pereira, oh, the ref fucked me up, you know, messed up my rhythm. If he was gonna stop it, he should have stopped it. Instead, he let Pereira, you know, take over and dictate what was happening, and I was out of position, and he allowed him to get it. Come on, man, come the fuck on. So then there's that, and then there's all the shit talk in between, and then he comes back and he loses to Yuri. He was pretty respectful about that, even though he did talk some shit about Yuri. But and now he's on his third loss in a row in the UFC after being the champ. And you know, I this is exactly what I talk about when somebody becomes a champ. If the first obstacle is defending, especially if you have a rematch because you had a tough fight against the champ, you have a rematch and you defend, that's great. Now it's set in stone. Hey, no one can talk shit because you defended at least once, whether it's against the same opponent you got the title from, or it's a new opponent that was next in line and is just as tough, if not tougher. So you don't defend, you lose to Pereira. Okay, that's a tough fight, and I can't blame you for that. But Pereira came in on a late notice, as well as you're fighting him on a late notice. I get that too. But the thing is he comes in, he saves this event, he fights you for the title, and he wins. And he gets revenge for, you know, his mentor who you beat for the title. So glad Pereira knocked him out. Hell yeah. and honestly, the way he knocked him out too, with the celebration afterwards, man, I mean, you don't get any better than that. So Pereira comes out and knocks him out like he did, and then he's got all these excuses. Then he fights Yuri, and you know, yeah, he gets to the third round, you know, and he has his back and forth with Yuri, but you know, in the end he loses again. But Yuri is a tough motherfucker, and you can't deny that. So okay, we'll give you that one too. Then he comes out saying that Roundtree's not even on his level. You know, and all this other shit about how it's going to be different this time. Khalil said, I'm not bleeding in this fight, because he got his face annihilated and rearranged when he fought against Pereira. Hard fought battle, and he had injuries. His face was deformed, and he fucking hung in there until he just couldn't anymore. And I give him mad props for that. So Roundtree calls him soft and sensitive because he fucking cries for no reason. Yeah, the Pereira fight was a war. Exactly. Yeah, Roundtree fucking hung in there, man. That was so much respect to Roundtree for that one. I can't even say it more. I just respect the dude on a level in general, But for that fight, after that fight, it was set in stone that he's a tough motherfucker and he deserves all the good shit that he gets. So he comes out and fights another fucking former champ, and he beats him. And he beats him in a, you know, he makes him look stupid. Like, I don't feel like Hill did enough to even make it look like he was at that level, able to be fighting Roundtree at the moment. But you know, that's that matchup, because Roundtree came off the title fight and lost. And that's fine, because like Rice just said, insane fight. It was a fucking war with Pineda, and it goddamn was. And it was a badass fight. And you have to give Roundtree the props he deserves for that one, for sticking in there like he did and getting pieced the fuck up and not wanting to quit. He just went until he couldn't anymore. And so all respect to Roundtree, and he did what he said in this one. He said, "I'm not gonna bleed." Hill faced off with him and said, "Oh, you're bleeding, motherfucker. I'm gonna make you bleed." Nah, you didn't do anything, man. You didn't do anything. So my takeaway from this in the main event is that Jamal Hill is at that crossroads right now. He's got 3 losses in a row. Now, granted, I always talk about strength of schedule and the opponents. Yes, he's fought hard fucking opponents, but the way he's handled these losses is the problem. The way that he can't bounce back from these is the problem. So, of course, he's not done yet, unless he wants to be. But I do think that it's going to be quick. It's going to be a quick turnaround to being done if he can't get some wins. He's not going to last in the UFC if he can't turn it around. They'll give him another fight because he's a former champ. He fought hard opponents, and he's been at the top of that division for a while. But, you know, look at his past fights and where he came from. If you look at some of the ways that he lost in the past, it's hard to think that he's gonna bounce back from this. He dug himself out of that hole because he was hungry to get up there and get the championship, and he did. But is he hungry enough to come back and regain that title and actually defend it this time? Or does everything that happens to him just make him a victim, and all he can do is cry about it? You know, and maybe not physically legitimately cry, but like complain, whine, make excuses, and talk shit to everybody who thinks differently than him. That's fine, man. Show us and prove that we're wrong. I'd prefer that, because that just means you can fight some hard, great fights against the top level of this division. I'd prefer that. So prove me the fuck wrong, please. But other than that, there's not much else to take away from this fucking, except for Nazim Sadikov is a legit G. He's a badass, but so is Nicholas Moda. And when I get to that fight and I talk about it, you'll know why, if you didn't get to watch the fights. And besides that, I mean, there was one other finish. Everything else is up for whatever. You know, Fiziev versus Bahamondes. It was a fight. I mean, Curtis Blades did what he does. He was kind of boring. Kuniev making his UFC debut. Couldn't handle the pressure of Blades, and that's all there is to that. Let's start at the bottom here and let's go through this. And unfortunately, it's a slow start, because we had a week after his brother, you know, gets a win in the main event of last week's fight against Joaquin Buckley. Kamaru Usman got that win, and then makes his way to Azerbaijan with his brother Mohammed Usman, and Mohammed gets a guy making his UFC debut as well, undefeated 4-0. Oh no, I'm sorry, he had one fight in the UFC. He's 1-0 in the UFC. So and he was 3-0, I guess. Yeah, something like that. Whatever. Who gives a shit? He was undefeated at the moment. And now he just lost against Mohammed Usman. And I mean, you see some big shots here by Usman. He's a big boy. We've seen him land big shots and knock people the fuck out. But it turned in from that to basically just like some kind of long fights that don't usually add up to good stuff in the heavyweight division, because most of the time you're getting gassed fighters that are winging punches trying to get that one punch knockout. There's usually not much more going on than that, and that's kind of how this fight went. So not a whole lot to talk about there. Tagir Ulanbekov versus Azat Maksum, second fight of the night. We got some action in this one. Obviously, you can see by the pictures there. Tagir, he did his thing. He looked all right. But another unanimous decision win here. All 3 rounds. It's pretty obvious who won, I think. And yeah, just not a whole lot going on. So then we move to the women. And these women's fight, especially when they go to decision, which they go to decision a lot. The women's fights, you don't get a ton of action, and it just proves itself over and over and over again. But this one wasn't the worst I've seen. But you had 2 women's fight in a row, and we didn't get a whole lot. So we had this one with Claudia Segula versus Irina Alexieva, and basically you got a unanimous decision win from Segula on this one. And then the next women's fight, we had Daria Zaleznayakova, I think, versus Melissa Dixon or Mullins. I don't know. It's listed differently, and it says Mullins on her shorts, so we'll go with that. But yeah, you see Mullins has a fair amount of damage, especially in that right picture. So there was some action in here, but still, I don't really remember a whole lot from this fight, honestly. So that it is what it is. It's the women. Unfortunately, I can't wait for some exciting women fighters. Everyone always talks about how the women's division in MMA is years behind the men's division as far as experience and fight IQ, and stuff like that. Here's what it is. We've gotten a lot of exciting fights out of the women. And I appreciate the fact that they get in there. I do like to see that the women have a couple divisions that they can fight in, and that there's competition there. So I don't hate on the women fighting completely. I just feel like there's not a lot of life there right now, and that was the problem in the past. So somebody needs to breathe some life into the women's divisions, and maybe with Amanda Nunes coming back, that will help. And on top of all of that, Rice says he agrees, no superstar. She, I'm sorry, I don't know, but I assume it's a he. Most of the people that watch my show are guys. So, but he says he agrees, no superstar. Exactly, there isn't. So Amanda Nunes coming back to fight Kayla Harrison, yes, but the problem is that's not sustainable, because Amanda Nunes is coming back out of retirement. Okay, so what's she gonna do? Beat Kayla Harrison because that's the only thing that makes sense at the moment, and then just retire again and give up the belt? Or fight somebody who's not even on her level, because she's beaten most of the people that are considered to be close on that level in that division? And also, she's huge, so she's gonna have to. How long is she gonna want to cut to 135? She was the 135 and 145 pound champ, so is she gonna try to get that 145 division going again? There's nobody there. That's why it fizzled as it was. And on top of all of that, Kayla Harrison is killing herself to get down to 135. So that was a good fight with her and Juliana Pena. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing Juliana Pena get fucking submitted like she did because she has a big mouth, and it's not fun to listen to her talk that shit. It's annoying, actually. But, I respect what she's done in the fight game. I didn't think she had a chance against Harrison, and she proved it. So, and that's fine. So now we got Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes. That's it. There ain't really anything else going on in the women's divisions that you can really spend a lot of time talking about. I've spent more time talking about how much the women's division sucks instead of talking about how much so-and-so is good or this and this was good. It's unfortunate. I'd prefer to see a lot of fun fights and a lot of battles 4 titles in these divisions, but it's just not happening right now. So let's move on from the women and get to a little bit of controversy here, because we had Iron Turtle Jung Young Park versus Ismail Nordiev. I keep getting him confused with Naimov, who fought after this. But so we got the Iron Turtle here. As you can see, you would think by the looks of these pictures that he lost, but if you notice in that middle picture where Nordiev is seemingly celebrating, if you look at the ref back there, he's calling a timeout. And that's because Nordiev decided to throw an illegal knee. As you can see in that left picture, Iron Turtle has his knee down on the canvas, and he throws and connects with an illegal knee. And that the aftermath is what you see in that right picture with Park on the ground, bloody eye. And the reason why his eye's so bloody is because he got eye poked like twice before this. So Nordiev, whether it was intentional or not, fucking fighting dirty, man. Not paying attention and doing stupid shit. So you get 2 eye pokes and no points taken, and then the illegal knee. They decide that Park can continue, and finally we get some kind of a disciplinary action towards Nordiev, and they take away 2 points, not just 1 but 2. And that's great, but they should have already taken probably 2 other points for the fucking eye pokes, at least 1. If you want to give him the first warning, it's supposed to be in the back, but whatever. When you explain the rules, you're already not supposed to do that. Accidental, cool, give him a warning, no big deal, whatever. Second time, take that motherfucking point. And then he does an illegal knee. Cool, take 2 more fucking points like you did. But you're forgetting about that first one. Stop with this shit. Hey, we got 1 eye poker out the game. Fucking Jon Jones retired. Remember, he's an eye poker. But regardless of any of this, obviously, because it went to decision, the Iron Turtle won, because he would have had to have done quite a bit to not get the win in this fight after 2 points were taken from Nordiev. And I believe that might have been Nordiev's. No, he's 3-3 in the UFC. He was coming off a 2-fight win streak with wins over Tahar Hadbi and Bruno Silva. So I mean, it's not like it was his first time in there, and I haven't really heard much of him. So maybe he has not done this kind of stuff in the past, and maybe it is freak accidents or, just timely mistakes. I don't know, but that's what happened. So, and I was excited for the Iron Turtle because I like the dude. He's funny when he wins and he does his little dance, and he's just a character and he's a good fighter. But we've seen him get worked, and we've seen what happens when he gets injured, and it's the look that he has on his face in that right hand picture where he's up against the cage and bloody. That's kind of how he looks when he starts getting pieced up and when he starts having trouble, and we've seen it happen to him before. So I hope he finds a way to be able to fight through that a little better and not show so much of that where people want to pounce on him, because you can just see it in his face that he's kind of giving up. Maybe not giving up, but seemingly it looks like he wants to give up just by the looks on his face and stuff. But I like the guy so much, and I want to see him do well. So I hope that he, gets that eye figured out, and hopefully there's no real damage, and he comes back and we see some great fights out of him. So moving on from that, we had a fight that I was so excited to see because I like Oban Elliott a lot. He's always exciting to watch fight, and you get a lot of great outcomes from him. He's good on the mic, everything. But man, he got fucking worked by Seok Hyun Ko, who I believe, let me double check. Yes, making his UFC debut coming from the Contender Series. He was on basically a 4-fight win streak outside of the UFC, one of those being the Contender Series. And then he comes into the UFC for his first official fight, and he beats one of the guys that has a lot of hype around him, Oban Elliott. And you can see he injured him. He got some physical damage going on there, bloodied up his face, and he looked sharp, and he looked pretty good in the goddamn fight against somebody who was a heavy favorite. -485 was the last thing I saw. and he was a plus 360 underdog. So underdog comes in and gets a big win against a name like Oban Elliott. But Elliott's not done, obviously. He's got a long ways to go. He's got a lot of work to do. You know, he's got some experience, but not the most. This was his 4th fight in the UFC. He's also a Contender Series guy, and this is his first loss in UFC. He was on a 3-fight win streak, and he had wins over Vel Woodburn, Preston Parsons, both of those were unanimous decision wins, and then he had that big win against Basil Hafez. And that's why I was excited to watch this fight, because, you know, his 2 previous fights, you know, in the UFC, unanimous decisions, but they were fun fights to watch. And then the big win he got over Hafez was so exciting and fun. And then to listen to him on the mic, I was just like, fuck, I can't wait till his next fight. And then he gets a UFC debut guy who looks good coming out of the Contender Series, but, you know, Oban Elliott's a huge favorite. And then he turns around and just kind of chokes it, you know. Still hard fought, but, you know, he lost to the guy making his debut. That's always a tough one, but I know he'll bounce back, and I feel like he's got a lot ahead of him. He's not that old. And let's see, how old is he? Because I was kind of curious about that. 27. Yeah, so he's right in the middle of the time that he should be, you know, his prime. So he's getting there. He's got a lot of work, you know, to still do, but I think he's gonna bounce back, and we're gonna see a lot of good stuff out of Oban Elliott in the future. So don't give up on him yet. That's my thoughts on that. Now, that was the last prelim card, or the last prelim fight of the card. So let's move into the first fight on the main card, which was Mohamed Naimov versus Bogdan Grad. And I mean, I was kind of excited for this one too. I feel like this one could have had some good action in it. And to be honest, again, I don't remember much from this fight. It's just like there was some good back and forth, you know, moments in this fight. But even looking at these pictures while I'm collecting these visuals to show, I'm still thinking like, oh, do I remember anything significant? Like, I really don't. And that's what sucks. But Naimov gets the win by unanimous decision regardless. He was the favorite, not by much. It was minus 260 to plus 205. So it wasn't a crazy like difference or whatever, but still Naimov was the favorite. He does get the win, but nothing spectacular. So just the first fight of the night, continuing on with the decisions. After I saw the 6 fights in the prelims all going to decision, I'm like, fuck, like what the fuck is happening? Not this again. Let's not do this. And then your first time in Azerbaijan at Baku, I heard that the crowd was feeling it. They were pumped or whatever, and it was a good, you know, it was good in the venue, but that doesn't carry over to TV where people aren't feeling all that energy. All that energy is getting fed out. They're all feeding off each other. So people get excited, and then it carries on over through all the rest of the people, and then, you know, next thing you know, it sounds like a fucking packed arena but it didn't even look packed. That's what was kind of weird. There was like upper levels that looked like they were pretty empty. I'm not sure how that venue's set up though. I've never seen it. Obviously, we've never seen a UFC there, so who knows. But in the end, you know, it's gonna the energy is gonna be a little different in person. On TV, I don't know about this fight. It wasn't much. But moving on to finally some excitement. Oh no, wait. The hell? Did I no way. I completely forgot Nazim Sadikov. Okay. So this goes right along with my technical difficulties, because it seems like when I do stuff like this, and then I have technical difficulties too. Nazim Sadikov versus Nicholas Moda. I had pictures. I don't know what the fuck happened. Apparently I completely forgot. I don't know. But you know what? I'll do this real quick. I will go here because I want to see these pictures because I had them and I don't know how I missed them. So let's just go with this picture. I'm doing this on the fly too. I usually have this shit prepped, but let me you're just gonna see some on the fly kind of prep work that I should have had already. But I just want to show these pictures because it tells a little bit about how great of a fight it was. And you know, it was exciting, especially because we had so many decisions that were just kind of here or there, you know, nothing crazy happening. And then you get Nas coming in, who's from, you know, Azerbaijan, and of course he has the crowd behind him, and he puts on a show. And then Nicholas Moda is there to, you know, match that energy, which is badass. That's what the fuck we want out of fights. That's what we want out of these fighters. Match the energy, have it high level, and let's see some fucking action. You're not in there. This isn't a dance floor. Some people say it is. It's the violence dance, but you know, it's not literally a dance floor. Let's stop circling. Let's get in there and fucking make a fight of it. Win or lose, if you have a good show, you're not gonna go anywhere. They're gonna hold on to you because your action. That's what is needed. Action. So Nicholas Moda, you know, he understood the assignment, and so did Nas. He fucking was like, I'm in my land, my country, and you know, even though he didn't fully grow up there, I guess he grew up more like in the Brooklyn area, but that's where he was born. That's where his family's from. He has, you know, he's proud of that. So he goes back to his homeland where he was born, and he puts on a goddamn show. I mean, we're talking Moda made him hurt too, though. He got some great body shots in there. He wobbled Nas at one point, but Nas just took over. And when I say punches and bunches, I know that's fucking, you know, that's just like the normal thing to say, but these motherfuckers were the definition of punches and bunches. Moda would come in with like a 6 or 7 fucking punch combination, body, head, body, head, fucking hitting elbows, hitting shoulders, not caring, catching the head, catching the body, regardless, fucking bunch of punches. Nas is sitting there doing this, and this, catching some damage here and there, turns around and does the same shit to Moda back. He's like, you asked a question and I fucking answered it. That's action, man. That's what the fuck we're looking for. That's what we want. And that's what we saw with this fight. And to me, this was the fight of the night. Coincidentally, that's what everyone else thought as well. These guys got a double bonus for fight of the night, and they had performance of the night bonuses. Or at least Nas did. I'm not sure about Moda, but Moda got fight of the night, so he got 50 grand regardless. Nas wound up with 100 grand, which is dope. And he fucking deserved that, and Moda deserved it too. So this was what made this entire fight, and I can't say enough about it. I should say, yeah, Rice, getting 100 grand, man, that's fucking sick. Like, I feel like, you know, it could be more, but whatever. 100 grand is 100 grand. It was an insane fight for sure. All that blood. Moda's a dog, and he fucking he pressed that gas and he kept going until he got hit and got caught, and then it turned around and it just back and forth. It's what you want out of a fight. That's all there is to it. We don't need to see these guys like go to war like this every single time, but at least give us some of this action instead of just feeling each other out, taking each other on the ground and holding each other down. Yes, it's a skill to get up, but nothing beats this. This was crazy. This was fun, and this could have been on the pay-per-view for next week, and it would have been fucking fantastic. So, but it was the saving grace for Baku. At least there's that, right? So a little bit of a hard transition here because I did this on the fly. So I'm gonna go ahead and click out of these, and we'll get back to the correct format here, and have some good transitions instead of some rough ones. Next up, we had Mektaibek Oralbai, who I like as a fighter. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's, you know, he's kind of has his own little thing. He's a bit of a character himself. Versus Tafik Musayev, who was making his UFC debut as well. So many fucking debuts in these past few cards, man. It's crazy. This one has quite a few. And it's been a mixed bag of what the you know, the debuting fighters have and how they go. as far as what the outcome of their fights are. But a lot of the guys debuting lately, especially the bigger named ones, have not had good luck coming into the UFC. But it is what it is. Tawfiq, I mean, he did all right. We didn't even get out of the first round. As you can see, Orobai picked him up, slammed him, got a Kimura on him. He's got great submissions and a great Brazilian jiu-jitsu game. I just like Orobai. I don't know why. He's just one of those guys that I get a feeling about, and I'm just kind of like, you know, he may not be the guy I list on a list of favorite fighters or anything like that, but he's one of those sneaky guys that I'm like, Orobai's fighting. Watch it. You might like that. I don't know why. He's just one of those guys. But he's 3-1 in the UFC. He was coming off his first loss against Mateusz Rebecki, but that was a fight of the night, split decision loss, and that was a fucking war. That was like that Nazim versus Moda fight. That's how crazy that one was. And unfortunately for Orobai, he got the loss. But man, that was a great fight. And that was on UFC 308, Topuria versus Holloway back in October of 24. And then after, you know, this was his first fight back and his first fight this year, and he gets a big submission win. One of 2 fucking finishes on the entire card. And he made it a fun fight, and he came through. So I appreciate Orobai. And good luck to Musayev. Hopefully you get another fight in the UFC and, you know, get to prove yourself a little bit. Next up, back to just we got Curtis Blades. You know, he's been at the top of the division for a while, you know, either fighting for a title or fighting to stay in contention for the title. You know, he's up there. He's got skills, don't get me wrong. You know, he's got heavy hands if he can catch you. As you can see there, he's landing some good elbows too, but he's definitely great with the wrestling and the grappling. And when he falls in that category and he hits that wave of grappling and wrestling, you're fucked. He's heavy on top, and he can hold you down and keep you down. And if he doesn't keep you down, he'll get you back down on the ground even if you get up. So he's a tough opponent. You know, he beat Tom Aspinall, but it was a technical TKO because, you know, Aspinall had that injury, but still he's got a win over him. He's got wins over big names, but man, it's just hard with Curtis Blades. He's kind of a unique kind of guy. He's pretty religious. He's got, you know, he's got a little bit of a thing when he talks, you know, and I'm not making fun of him at all. I'm just saying these are all these little things that a lot of people don't tend to gravitate towards him. And then his fighting style, it doesn't do much for him. So he lost to Tom Aspinall when he fought him for the interim title. That was Tom Aspinall's, you know, defense of the interim title, which it sounds fucking ridiculous. I mean, he did beat Jailton Almeida in the second round by hammer fist. He got a performance in the night bonus there. So sometimes he can get those exciting finishes, but yeah, I mean, if he's getting knocked out, you know, too. We've seen him get knocked out by Derek Lewis, get finished by Sergey Pavlovich. He had a 3-fight win streak when he beat Tom Aspinall, even though it was technical. He beat Chris Daukaus and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I mean, those are some big names. He's beat Volkov, Dos Santos, but he just can't ever seem to beat the really high level stuff that are at the top of their game at the moment. So it's tough for Blades, man, but he does get the win against another UFC debut, another Contender Series guy. He fought twice in the Contender Series, actually. So this was his UFC debut, and yeah, he lost. But Kunaev, I mean, hopefully he gets another fight so we can see him fight someone else with a different style and see what he can do. Next up, a fight I was super high on. I was ready for this one. And, you know, I'm not going to say it was boring at all, but it just wasn't, it didn't live up to the hype that maybe I was giving it, maybe other people were giving it. I heard a lot of other people saying the same shit, that they thought this was going to be a banger. And it was a good fight, you know. I mean, it wasn't horrible. I wouldn't even say it was bad. It's just, I was expecting a little more, and it was just there. You know, it just happened. It wasn't a war, but it was a fight, you know. Again, it was tough for me to off the dome just remember some of these because it's so crazy. And then you have the overshadowing of Jon Jones and all that shit happen, and then it's like you really forget everything because it's like, well, I'm barely holding on to the memories of these fights because there wasn't much to hold on to. And then you get to it and you're like, damn, what happened again? I mean, how come I don't remember this one? This one isn't so much like that. It's just that, you know, it wasn't crazy either. Yet another fucking decision for the co-main too. But Fiziev comes out ahead, you know, and that's kind of what I expected. Bahamondes is a tough guy, and he puts up a great fight always. So he was on a 3-fight win streak with wins over Christian Gallegos, Manuel Torres, and Jalen Turner. That Jalen Turner fight where he submitted him with a triangle choke, that was a fucking hell of a fight. I enjoyed the shit out of that. His last 3 fights, he's gotten performance of the night bonuses. So, you know, Bahamondes is one of those guys, and that's why I think that's why I think that it, you know, the expectations were high, and it just didn't come through at that high expectation. But I still think it was a pretty good fight overall, and I'll give it to Fiziev for sure for getting that win. Unanimous decision win for him there. He was on a 3-fight losing streak, but look at who he lost to: Justin Gaethje twice and Mateusz Gamrot. Those are fucking tough. He has three performance of the night bonuses as well over his last few fights. Actually, 2 fight of the night against Justin Gaethje and 1 performance of the night against Dos Anjos. If you go further down in his record, a bunch of other fucking performance of the night, fight of the night, performance of the night, fight of the night, Jesus, against King Green, Renato Moicano, Mark Diakase. Like, these are big names that he's getting bonuses for because of how good the fights were. So that's why this one was a little bit lackluster to me. But in the end, it was still a pretty decent fight, and I'm glad Fiziev got the win. Bahamondes will bounce back, but Fiziev was on that 3-fight losing streak, and regardless of who he fought, it's always tough when you get 3 losses in a row in the UFC. So you got to be careful, and you got to put on a show, and you got to get a win. And he did that, minus the putting on a show a little bit, but I still give him props for it, and it is what it is. Congrats to him for getting the win. And that brings us to the main event for us to kind of round this out and get to the end here. Khalil Roundtree versus Jamal Hill. And if you were here for my takeaways from the entire event, I already spoke about this quite a bit, but here we go again. We'll get a little more in depth because, well, I mean, there is some stuff to talk about here. And that is the fact that, first of all, Jamal Hill, as I was saying, needs to figure something out. And I say that because he also needs to figure out those leg kicks. He was getting his legs hammered. And yes, Khalil Roundtree is a leg kick guy. He's kicking your calf, he's kicking your thigh, he's kicking just your leg in general. I mean, look at the body kick he's landing. His kicks are vicious and they're fucking tactical, and he's accurate. So, and they hurt. They're powerful. You can see it on everyone's face when he lands them. You can see the stumbling after he gets a great leg kick. So that's why that Alex Pineda fight was so fun, because both of them have those vicious leg kicks that are just fun to watch happen, and you know they fucking hurt. You know it, and they cause damage, and you see the damage. Not only do you see the marks on the legs and on the body, but you see the stumbling, you see the limping. They can't even fake it, because that's how good those leg kicks are. That's how good those kicks in general are. And we know Khalil did the whole Muay Thai thing for a while, and he came out looking like a fucking Muay Thai master, throwing elbows and shit, you know, with the Muay Thai stance, the picking up of the lifting of the front leg, you know, all that shit. He did it all. He came out with the headdress, and dude, that was a different Khalil. That's what started this little crazy run to the title that he had, and that's why everyone was excited to see him fight Pineda. So now you get a former title contender, I mean, you know, not contender, but a former title opponent, or you know what I'm trying to say, with a former title holder, and both guys being at the top of the division right now. And even though Jamal Hill's coming off 2 losses, I'm thinking this is still going to be a tough fight for Khalil. unless he comes out like the killer Khalil that we saw back in the beginning of that run leading to the title shot. So I feel like that's what kind of happened here. And Jamal Hill showed so many openings and so many holes in his game that Khalil was like ready. And Khalil was dead set on not fucking getting bloodied up in this fight, and he held up to that, you know. So he, you know, you see him just standing confidently over Hill there, landing another head kick, and you know, getting the win by unanimous decision. Yes, but still, you know, it wasn't the most exciting fight ever, but to see him dismantle Jamal Hill like that, if you're a Jamal Hill hater, you enjoyed it. And there's a lot of those out there. I'm not going to consider myself one, but I'd rather fuck a dude than take a potato leg kick. Holy shit, that's hilarious. For some reason, I think the chat kicked that one out, but I caught it on the one on screen, so I saw it. That shit's funny. Rice, man, I appreciate the interaction today. I really do. I love it when people bring some interesting shit in the chat, and yeah, it's just fun. So I appreciate you for that. That shit's funny. But no doubt, like, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I do not want to take a leg kick from, I wouldn't take a leg kick from Khalil either. That motherfucker used to be 300 pounds plus. And now he looks like he's all fucking ripped up and shredded. And even though people talk shit about how sensitive he is in the way that he's chosen his emotions, oh man, hey Rice, I appreciate that, man. I've been doing this for a little bit, getting better and better all the time, but when I feel passionately about something, I I get on a tangent, and today was one of those. So thanks for sticking around and keeping it up, man. I really do appreciate that. And as far as Khalil Roundtree versus Jamal Hill, I think I've hit enough of that. Khalil has good things ahead of him. I think he's gonna, you know, be up there to fight for a title again soon, and Jamal Hill needs to find his lane and get back in it, because he needs to find a way to get back in that win column and gain some confidence, because he's lost too many times, and it gets scary again, like I said earlier, when you start losing that many in a row in the UFC. He's got a little bit of leeway because he's a former champ, but he needs to get his shit together. So for that, I will give Jamal Hill this.
Get your fucking shit together, my God.
Yes, let's see what you can do, because we've seen your potential in the past, and I think you can bring it back if you really feel that you're still in the game like that. As for Khalil, with Connor soundbite, hell yeah, man. I love the Connor soundbites. I got a few of them, but I forget to push them sometimes, but when the time is right, I throw it in there. So anyway, Khalil, congrats on the win, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Jamal, good luck on getting back in that win column, because you need it, bro. You need it. The double champ does what he wants. I don't have that one, actually. Let's see, do I have any other right here? I don't, but if I go into my sounds, I do have a bunch more. But anyway, come back and join me again sometime, Rice. I appreciate you for all of the banter and the interactions. And yeah, if you're not subscribed, please do. I'd appreciate that too. You know, like it and stuff. Yeah, hit that notification bell so you know when I'm going live, because also, thanks, man. Appreciate you. Come back Thursday for the preview show for UFC 317. It will not be live because I have something going on, but I will be releasing the video at the same time as usual, 7:00 p.m. on Thursday. Be ready for that UFC pay-per-view preview, and also I'll be having a watch party this Saturday as well, and I'll talk more about that on Thursday. So come back, watch the video for the preview that I put out on Thursday. And as far as anything else, that's it for me. Thanks for sticking around. Appreciate everybody in the chat, Rice especially, all the interaction. Thank you so much. Anybody that tuned in, thank you for hanging in there with me after the initial problems. And that's it. I'm out. Take it easy. Have a good one. Come back Thursday. Peace.